Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Alright, let's talk about what happened last night from a very loud First Direct Arena. Hopefully that came across on TV because that place was bouncing, it was jumping. It was as though Josh Warrington was fighting there. I've done, I think, 2 fights with Josh at the First Direct Arena and it was the same as last night. It really was. Like I've always said, in terms of like the pound for pound, if you like, loudest fans, it's Warrington by a country mile. Don't get me wrong, AJ and Fury have sort of bigger fan bases, but it's Warrington, it's Lee Wood, because they bring a football crowd with them. And that's exactly what it was yesterday. It was a football crowd. It was super loud. I didn't realize that Jack Catterall was that big a ticket seller. I remember when he walked out. In fact, no, when they showed him on the big screen coming into the arena, the place went crazy. And I was like, okay. And then they showed Josh Taylor coming in and it was a bit of cheers, but more boos. And I was like, okay, wow. I didn't know Jack Catterall was that big a ticket seller, but he clearly is. And that might bode him well in future fights, especially trying to get some of the big American names over maybe. But yeah, look, incredible atmosphere. Something really special. Obviously, look, we all appreciate what's going on in Saudi Arabia. We all like the fact that we see these big names fighting each other. But in terms of domestic dust-ups, nothing beats them. I've said this before and I'm going to keep repeating myself. Nothing beats them. And I think we saw that yesterday. One thing I did see, I'm going to kind of go backwards to forwards, if that makes sense. I'm going to kind of start at the end of the fight. Ali Drew went into the changing room of Jack Catterall after the fight. Bear in mind, he's won. It's a fight he's wanted for 2 years. And whereas I expected that changing room to be bouncing, he was very just somber in the corner. And I think it's because, look, he won, which is the most important, but he understands that, or at least he realizes this win doesn't change his life as it would have a couple of years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like a couple of years ago, when he should have got the victory, he would have been undisputed. There would have been a rematch. He would have got a lot more money in the rematch. And who knows what would have happened? Who knows where he would have been? So it almost like he had this moment of reflection, like, yes, I got you, but I didn't win no world title. My name isn't going down in the history books. It might, who knows, but it isn't because of this fight. And I'm certainly not undisputed. And I kind of felt like that was his moment of reflecting that. But in terms of the fight, it delivered and then some. It delivered. I mean, the first fight with these two wasn't that great. I mean, the reason the second fight was so big was because of the controversy. The first fight didn't really deliver. It wasn't a spectacle. No one's going to go back and watch that. Or if you are, then it's up to you. But it wasn't a great fight to watch. This fight delivered from the very first bell. Very similar to Fury Usyk, where everyone thought, oh, it's going to be a chess match, This fight delivered straight away. And after the first 4 or 5 rounds, sort of speaking to people ringside, like, what you got this, what you got this. I think a lot of people had it 4-1 Jack. A lot of people had it 4-1 Jack, maybe 3-2, but I think more leaning towards the 4-1. Jack just looked so much more sort of just switched on, like so much more within his game plan. His jab was working. He kind of does this shoulder roll thing that Floyd does. So it's almost like his body's so thin, you can't really find the target. It's quite smart. And then he fires back with rights and lefts. So he felt like, okay, he was winning. He rocked Josh a couple of times. He hurt Josh a couple of times. And you're thinking, okay, this is the end now. All the things that we've spoken about with Josh, he's 33, he can't make the weight. Does he live the life? All that kind of shit almost was like coming back to you, like, okay, maybe this is the end of Josh Taylor. And then Josh just found something. He found something and Josh came out. It might have been the 6th or 7th round, looking really sharp, like razor sharp on the front foot. And I was happy to see that because I've always said, I think there's still a lot left with Josh. I've always said, look, Josh got beat by Teofimo Lopez last time. Teofimo Lopez is considered, the best 140 pounder. And Josh showed that. Josh showed there is something left. There's a lot of fight left. There's a lot of pride left. And Josh really clawed it back, So much so, going into the final round, I said to Tony, what have you got it? And he said he had it 6-5 Josh Taylor. I was like, ooh, okay. So Jack had to win the last round for him to get a draw. In the end, obviously, the scorecards were read out. And I thought Jack did win the last couple of rounds, by the way, at least the last round. And the scorecards were read out. And, I mean, as soon as you hear 117, 111, you're thinking, come on. And you hear it twice. Like, I don't know how everyone that I spoke to ringside had it close. Everyone. Some people swung it to Josh. A draw. I feel like a draw was a lot of people's prediction, or a lot of people's thought after the fight. Some people had it to Jack by a couple of rounds. How then can you have 117, 111? Again, the majority of people I spoke to had it really close, or a couple of rounds either way. And yet 2 judges saw it 117, 111. Hence why Bob Arum nearly had a heart attack in the ring by going, I'm never letting American fighters fight here with these British judges. I mean, look, it's a thing that happens in America. It's a thing that happens all over the world. But they do need to look at the judges. The judging in this country is so bad. Honestly, it's so bad. Again, 117, 111. I think 116, was it 116, 113? It's a true reflection of the fight. You know what I think happens, by the way, with these judging? I think they're so, you can score a round even. Now, that's a thing, people. And I feel like it's not a thing over here. So they always seem to think, it was such a close round, I'm going to give it to Jack because of what happened 2 years ago. Rather than, that's such a close round, even. Like the even score, the even point system is so ridiculed or not used that I feel like judges don't use it enough. I feel like something happens in their brain where the 117, 111 scorecard came because it's a close round, and you know what? Jack got robbed last time, Jack. That's what I think's going on. But look, it was such a good fight. Thoroughly enjoyed it all the way from round 1 to round 12. So much so, I think you do it again. It was close. And look, if you're Jack, I know he kept on saying after that this chapter's closed. But sometimes it's a case of you look at the numbers on the check, and if Eddie comes to him and says, look, this place sold out, we could do it again, maybe even bigger. This time maybe go, as you are now the A side, go to the AO Arena in Manchester. What's that, 20,000? We can do that. Maybe, I don't think they should, chuck it on pay-per-view. I'm just trying to give you reasons as to why they could run it back again. Or if you're Jack, you're looking at the champions. You're looking at Teofimo Lopez. You're looking at Matias, who fights in a few weeks' time. You're looking at Devin Haney, who still is the WBC champion. Isaac Cruz, who is the WBA, I believe, champion. So those are your 4 belt holders. Which one of those do I think he could beat? He's a tough night for everyone, by the way, just because he's a southpaw. I don't think he beats Matias. You avoid that at all costs, and I just don't think there's enough money in that fight anyway. Isaac Cruz. Difficult fight to make, PBC. Although we are seeing Isaac Cruz fight on what I think will be a Matchroom DAZN card, the Crawford Madrimov undercard. So who knows? So the more realistic one of that is Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez doesn't seem to have a good relationship with Eddie at all. So it's Devin Haney. So he's going to have to travel. I don't think he can beat Devin Haney. I know Devin Haney's coming off a beating, but I don't think he can beat Devin Haney. So maybe, again, you look at the numbers, and as much as he wants a world title fight and a big fight, maybe you look at the numbers and think, okay, maybe you run it back. And even if you run it back quickly, say you run it back the early part of next year, Jack's 30. Jack's okay. Jack can still have those dream world title fights, but I just feel like there needs to be a conclusive end to this saga. And Jack might think, fuck it, it's 2-0. It's not 1 apiece, but the record books say it's 1 apiece. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Great atmosphere. Let's quickly run through the undercard. Chef Clark got the job done against Ellis Zorro. Look, Chef Clark, I know, will be disappointed with the performance. But the fact is, Chef Clark is 9 fights in. I remember when Chef Clark was, I think he did a couple of before the bell fights. And then very early on the undercard of fights. And now he's co-main in what some are saying is the biggest fight of the year in Britain. That's a fantastic trajectory. And him being British champion and getting the stoppage is good. Sometimes all that matters is getting the win, people. Get that W and move on. And if you can get the W by knockout, it's even better. Ellis Zorro, I thought boxed well. I thought didn't show that he had the scars of the Opataya fight. But when Chef put it on him, it's almost as though his body just collapsed. Do you know what I mean? There was no fight back at all, and that was that. Could he have got up early? Possibly, but Chef Clark is very heavy-handed, and you hear those thuds from ringside. So, I do wonder what next for Ellis Zorro. But for Chef Clark, I know he's still going to chase the Isaac Chamberlain fight. Obviously, Isaac Chamberlain takes on Jack Massey. Vidal Riley's there. And then maybe you look at the loser of Chris Billam-Smith, Richard Riakporhe, or you go international until you wait to see how it all unfolds. What else is on this card? Gary Cully versus Francesco Patera. Cully, for me, seems... I still see residue, if that's the right word, of the Jose Felix fight. I still see residue of it. Look, he overcame that by beating Reece Mould. The whole training team has been sort of ripped up and start again. He's no longer with Joe McNally, sorry. I don't know with Gary. I feel like I want him to be that guy of a couple of years ago or a year ago, but I don't know. Like when he used to throw that left, he threw it with mean intentions. Now, I don't think he throws it because he's so scared. Like it's up here all the time. It's really tight. And he's almost like, if he throws it, I feel like he thinks he's open, which he is for a counter. And I think because that's a shot that caught him, I believe, if my mind serves me right, against Felix, it's just locked in. So when he throws it, he's not throwing it like he used to with everything. He's almost tapping it and bringing it straight back. I think that's a bit of a problem, but I don't know. Paddy Donovan, Lewis Ritson, that could be the end of Lewis Ritson. Look, I mean, Lewis Ritson's best work was at 135 pounds. He's not the biggest 147, obviously. Last time out, got stopped to the body by O'Hara Davis, and these two were promising sort of body shots, stoppages, and in the end, Paddy Donovan hurt him to the body, then jumped on him. Paddy Donovan didn't look great either, but I think there is a bit more to go with Paddy. All right, obviously you guys know I'm off to Riyadh in about half an hour, no joke, in about half an hour. That's why I'm steaming through this video. I will do, as we did last time, behind the scenes, so you guys can see what goes on. I'm trying to get up for it. I am. It's been. You know what it is? I almost felt like Alexander Usyk Fury should have ended Riyadh season. This one should have been like this should have been here, and Fury Usyk should have been now. But I think once you get there, you get on the ground and you speak to the fighters and you realize just how good a fucking card this is. We'll start to kind of build it up as we always do. But yeah, looking forward to getting out there. Really can't wait for Hamza Shiraz, Ammo Williams. And there's something about Herg, for all of them. I think all of them are going to be good. Bill Haney calls for Ryan Garcia to be hit with a lifetime ban from boxing. I get it. I get it. Remember, Bill Haney's the father. I get it. If you it's difficult to see your son getting beaten up like that, number one. Number two, he comes in overweight. And number three, there are PDs in the system. Whether or not they're intentionally there or not, it doesn't matter. There are PDs in the system. As a father, you're wanting that motherfucker to never fight again. Unfortunately, Bill, that's not the way this sport works. And there's a good chance it'll be a 6 to 12 month ban, as long as Ryan can prove that he unintentionally had Ostarine in his system. All right, anything else very quickly? Christian Mbili stopped Mark Heffron. Mbili, obviously, look, a very good 168 pounder. There's a lot of talk about Mbili versus Derevyanchenko. I think that's already done and signed. So we'll see what happens with that. What else we got? I don't think there's much else. By the way, on this Fury Usyk thing, obviously the other day I said that Fury Usyk is now on again for the rematch, but it's not going to happen in October. They're talking about the end of the year potentially, or the start of New Year, which is a bit disappointing, but it was a quick turnaround. Or was it May? You rest June, July, August, you get back in, 3 months to chill out and then get back into camp, end of August. I don't know, but it's not going to happen. So I think the opening of Riyadh season will now probably be AJ, and hopefully it's Wembley. So I wonder if AJ will be pushed now to October. It was initially scheduled for September. All right. Anything else before we wrap? I think, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. No. Pause. Don't go anywhere. Sebastian Fundora versus Errol Spence, signed and sealed for the fall. Very American of me, but it is for the fall, September-ish. Like it a lot. Don't know what's left with Errol, I think Fundora's a bit of a nightmare. I think it's a bit of a nightmare, man. So we'll see what's left with Errol. We'll see if... there's obviously been a lot of talk about Crawford beating Majimov, then jumping straight, or at least from me anyway, Crawford beating Majimov and jumping straight to 168. If Errol looks really good against Fundora and Crawford looks really good, as I expect him to against Majimov, maybe those two go at it again. 154 pounds. We shall see. All right, guys and girls, gotta go. Peace and love.